You could get a raise tomorrow and still be living paycheck to paycheck 6 months from now. That sentence sounds wrong. More money should mean more breathing room, but for a lot of people it doesn't, and the reason has very little to do with how much they earn. Let's start with what's actually happening. Psychologists and behavioral economists have a name for this pattern: lifestyle creep. It describes the tendency for your spending to rise in step with your income, often without you consciously deciding it should. Here's how it tends to unfold. You get a raise or a bonus, or you simply start earning more than you used to. For a short period, that extra money feels like room to breathe. But slowly, almost invisibly, your sense of what counts as normal spending shifts upward with it. A slightly nicer apartment, a few more takeout orders, a subscription here, an upgrade there. None of it feels reckless in the moment. But a year later, the extra income has been fully absorbed, and you're back to feeling like there's nothing left over. This is the trap. The raise you worked hard for doesn't disappear because of one bad decision. It disappears into a new normal you never consciously chose. To understand why this keeps happening, it helps to look at the specific moments where spending decisions actually get made. Researchers who study financial behavior generally point to a small number of recurring triggers. Let's walk through 3 of the most common ones. The first is emotional spending, a hard day at work, a disagreement with someone close to you, stress that doesn't have an obvious source. In these moments, spending offers something powerful, a fast, reliable sense of control, even if it only lasts a few minutes. Making a purchase gives the brain a small, immediate reward. It doesn't solve the underlying stress, but it briefly distracts from it. And because that relief is real, even if temporary, the pattern tends to repeat itself. The second trigger is social comparison spending. This one is harder to notice because it rarely feels like comparison in the moment. It shows up as scrolling through a feed and seeing how other people live, travel, or dress. The purchase that follows often isn't really about the product itself. It's about closing the gap between how you see yourself and how you want to be seen. That distinction matters because it means the spending is rarely about need, it's about identity. The third trigger is convenience spending. This is the quietest of the 3 and often the most expensive over time: a delivery order instead of cooking, a subscription you forgot you signed up for, a slightly faster, slightly easier option chosen simply because you're tired. Individually, none of these choices seem significant, but stacked together week after week, they quietly rebuild the exact cycle we started with. Income arrives, and it leaves almost as fast, in small increments that are easy to overlook. Now here's the part most financial advice gets wrong. The usual response to all of this is, just use more willpower, be more disciplined, try harder next time. But willpower has a well-documented limitation. It's a finite resource. It gets depleted by decision fatigue, by stress, by simply getting through a long day. Which means the moments you're most likely to give in to a spending trigger are exactly the moments your willpower is weakest. Relying on willpower alone isn't a character flaw. It's asking a limited resource to do a job it was never built to sustain. The shift that actually works is moving away from willpower and towards systems. A system doesn't rely on how strong your motivation is on any given day. It works quietly in the background, whether you're feeling disciplined or not. So let's talk about what that looks like in practice. The first system is automating your savings the moment income arrives. Rather than deciding what to save after expenses, a portion is set aside automatically before lifestyle creep has a chance to claim it. This removes the decision entirely from the moment of temptation. The second is a cooling-off rule. For any non-essential purchase, give yourself 24 hours before completing it. This single pause interrupts the emotional or comparison-driven trigger long enough for a more considered decision to take over. Often the urge to buy fades entirely once the initial impulse has passed. The third is a values-based spending audit. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" ask a more useful question. Does this reflect who I actually want to be? This reframes spending decisions around intention rather than restriction, which tends to be far more sustainable over time than simply cutting back out of guilt. None of this requires earning more money. It requires directing the money you already have with more intention. And that distinction matters because real financial stability was never really about restriction in the first place. It's about building habits and systems that quietly compound over time so that the version of normal you're building today is actually the one you want to be living in 5, 10, 20 years from now. If this gave you a clearer way to think about where your money actually goes, consider subscribing to The Money Verdict. Calm, practical money guidance every week.